If you've played a good amount of Stardew Valley, you start to get bored of the 7 standard map layouts. So you give expanded Stardew Valley a try. Might even challenge yourself with the tiny farm mod to push the boundaries of how annoying this game can get. But I love making cozy games as painful as possible, and that's how I found the Impossible Farm. This map is even tinier than the chance of helping Shane to get sober, and more annoying than trying to be at the ranch the same time Marnie is. If you've seen the first 3 parts and are only here for Winter Plus, go ahead and skip to this time. And if not, you're in for a ride. This run starts like any other run, collecting the 15 parsnip seeds Lewis left me and heading straight out to the farm to take in its entire glory. Clearing the farm, unsurprisingly, didn't take a lot of time, and I realized that the really annoying part about this was the large debris, rocks and stumps that I wouldn't be able to get rid of until I got an upgraded axe and pick. First, I tried to figure out how to manage getting around my farm. Yeah, I'm up here. I planted a few of my parsnips and quickly realized how limited my farming space actually was. Day 2 started with watering my crops and wandering out to collect forageables. My inventory was full, so I ran back to the farm and crafted a chest to store most of my stuff. I picked up my fishing rod and caught my first fish, and decided to stay by the beach to fish until noon. I misclicked and exhausted myself on a trash can, gave Caroline my first gift of the run, and walked around meeting more people until it was dark. I started day 3 with level 1 fishing and foraging, and went fishing for catfish in the town river. I finished my fishing day in my favorite fishing spot, the mountain lake. The next morning I realized I had already run out of storage space, so I took a few things to sell at Pierre's and buy the seeds I needed for the community center. I spent the rest of the day fishing around town and catching a bream for the community center. I woke up on day 5 to Clint banging on my door to give me the crafting recipe for a furnace. I crafted a 3rd chest and harvested my parsnips to replace them with the rest of the community center seeds. I made a quick stop in the mines to grab my sword and reach level 5. The traveling cart didn't have anything useful, so I checked who needed an introduction and gave Caroline a parsnip for more friendship points. I really wanted to befriend Caroline early in the run to get tea saplings as a source of money, since farming wasn't really going to work on this layout. I collected some spring onions on day 6 and finally opened up the community center. After reaching level 15 in the mines, I also donated my first item to the museum. The wizard sent me a letter asking me to pay him a visit, which I excitedly did. I passed the traveling cart, which again had nothing useful that I wanted to buy. The wizard sacrificed Junimo and made me drink its blood to unlock the power of understanding their language. I donated my first round of items to the community center, unlocking the pantry and the fishing tank, and spent the rest of my day fishing in the mountain lake until I passed out at 2 a.m., reaching level 4 fishing. My second week started with a trip to the mines. I planned on reaching level 30, but my energy ran out at level 28, and without food on me, I had to give up those plans and head back home. On day 9, I went fishing in the town river and reached level 30 in the mines, coming home with an ancient seed I found on floor 29. I did the same thing on day 10 and planted some mixed seeds on the right side of my farm when I realized that that space was tillable as well. After that, I went fishing mostly on the town bridge. On day 11, I donated a few things to the community center and went fiber hat hunting in the mines. I've never gotten the living hat before, and I thought maybe this would be the run, but I had to call it a day, still empty-handed. I got a cat the next day and figured out the most complicated way to spell the color gray. I also checked out the traveling cart where I thought about getting the summer spangle. Somehow I thought I needed it for the community center, but fortunately figured out I did not. Day 13 was spent beating little kids in the egg hunt at the Spring Festival, which let me take home a dazzling new hat. On day 14, I went to Robin's to check possible locations for future barns and coops. I knew I didn't have a lot of space to work with, but I tried to figure out if it was even at all possible to build both the coop and the barn. It would probably work, but it was going to be tough. I spent some time smelting some copper so I could start upgrading my tools, which was my main focus for now, and I also bought my first backpack upgrade. With the start of salmonberry season, I reached floor 40 in the mines, finally getting out of the dark floors, and went around town to collect some food for future mine runs. I woke up to a finished copper axe on day 16 and donated some items to the museum before deforesting some of Cindersap Forest and collecting some spring onions. I also tried socializing a little and talked to some of the townsfolk before ending the day. Day 17, I got rid of my first 2 stumps on the farm, freeing up exactly 1 more spot to plant some seeds. I went to the community center to finish the spring crops bundle, which opened the boiler room where I donated a few more things. I spent the rest of the day fishing in town and cheated my way into the secret forest to collect some hardwood and some more salmon berries. I also got lucky with some morels which I could use for the community center later. I got my copper pickaxe on day 18 and did some more socializing so I could finally open up Caroline's tea room. Back at the farm, I wanted to get started on crafting some tea saplings, but I forgot that I would receive the recipe the next day, so I went to the community center for some donations, reached level 45 in the mines, and waited in front of Sebastian's room like a creep so I could give him his requested parsnip and some quartz for some friendship points. I ran some laps around my holy farm log, that I was very excited to get rid of by the way, waiting on some iron to smelt, before calling it a day. I went across town to process some geodes at Clint's on day 19, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted to upgrade my axe or pickaxe first. And even though I would love the space on my farm, I decided to upgrade the pick so I could progress faster in the mines. The end of the day was spent in Cindersap Forest collecting some wood for future builds. Day 20 was spent fishing in the ocean and buying some beer to fuel Shane's alcohol addiction. Anything to make him happy for his birthday. On the last day of week 3, I processed some more geodes at Clint's and went to the mines where I reached floor 50 and got some new boots. I got unlucky with the traveling cart again, so I went back to the farm smelting some iron. I finally upgraded my axe the next day, and when I tell you I was excited to cut down those damn tree trunks, I really could not wait. I went mining some more and reached level 65. The construction bundle was completed on day 23 and I fished for more treasure at the mountain lake, where I got a fire quartz that I immediately donated to the community center along with some other things. This meant that the only thing left to donate for the boiler room was a gold bar, which put me so much closer to unlocking the minecarts. The next day I reached level 85 in the mines and teleported back to the farm to smelt the missing boiler room piece. I also reached level 3 combat. My gold bar was ready for me the next morning. I reached level 90 in the mines, picked up my steel axe at Clint's, and I finally got rid of all the trunks that were still on my farm. Having some space to work with, I could now purchase a barn at Robin's and looked for the best place to put it. I placed it in the bottom area of the farm and decided to worry about a chicken coop later. I also finally unlocked the minecarts, and after getting rid of the last piece of wood left on my farm, I watched the Junimos fix all my early game problems of traveling and chose the gatherer occupation at level 5 foraging. On day 26, I reached the big 100 in the mines, collecting my first star drop, and increasing my energy, which was definitely needed, getting all the tasks on my mighty farm done. It tasted delicious though. I went through another day of deforestation in Cindersap Forest since I still needed some materials for my coop, and I processed some more geodes to donate to the museum. After my donation run, I gave Emily an amethyst for her birthday and went clay farming? I really have no idea why I chose to spend my day doing the one thing I am the worst at in Stardew Valley, but here we are. I quickly gave up on it though to walk around town and talk to some of the villagers. On the last day of the season, I fished up an anchor and built a silo, which is probably why I clay farmed the remaining materials I needed. I placed it in the top right of my farm, since the area was basically unusable for me anyways. And since it isn't tillable, I could save the space on the rest of my farm for more important things. I donated a few items to the community center and bought a cow and some hay at Marnie's, since there was no way for me to get some hay on my farm. I pet and fed my new farm animal and spent the rest of my day fiber farming in hopes of getting lucky with the living hat, which I of course did not, so I went back to the farm and placed a chest in the path that leads to the silo, since I could fill the silo through my barn later anyways, and this would stop weeds from spawning in that tunnel and ruining the crops on that side of the farm. I ended my first month strong with level 5 mining and chose the miner's perk. The first day of summer started with completing the summer foraging bundle, and of course some fishing in the mountain lake. I also reached level 105 in the mines. The next day, I did my usual morning routine, taking care of my crops and animals, and bought a coop at Robin's. I chose pretty much the only location that was available on my farm and donated the last fish to the lake fish bundle. I collected a rainbow shell on the right side of the farm, and I don't know if I'm the only one, but I always think that rainbow shells are part of the community center because it feels so special to collect them. Day 31, I went to the secret forest, collected lots of fiddlehead fern, and stayed to catch a wood skip, along with a chest that had an artifact I still needed. The wood skip was of course immediately donated. I caught some ocean fish and crafted some tappers on day 32. Collecting wood for the farm buildings without access to all the trees on my farm turned out to be really annoying, so I wanted to get a head start on wood collection for the future. I bought 2 chicken for my newly built coop and went straight back to my farm to give them some love. Since I couldn't reach my fishing traps anymore, I had to move my buildings at Robin's, so I moved the shipping box out of the way and figured out a different spot for my coop. There was exactly one spot that wouldn't block any farming space and still give me access to both the bridge and the fruit bat cave. The only thing I would have to move was the right chest in front of my house. Since some of day 34 footage was lost, here's me placing some tree saplings. It probably started the same way day 35 did though, taking care of my animals. I reached level 110 in the mines and got one of my favorite swords. I just think it looks really cool. Shortly after I reached the bottom of the mines, earning myself the skull key. A crow welcomed me on day 36. Now that I had a whopping 16 farm tiles on my farm, even I apparently wasn't safe from them. I thought about crafting a scarecrow, but since my space was too valuable, I decided I would just keep my 15 farming spots for now. I went to Pierre's to buy some community center seeds and wanted to buy some hay at Marnie's. She wasn't at her shop though, so I gave her a disappointing salmon berry instead and ended my day with some late night fishing. I woke up to an upgraded house the next day and rearranged some of my furniture. I went out in the rain to apparently catch mostly algae in the town river, before I finally hooked a shad for the community center. I cooked some maki rolls and a fried egg in my newly built kitchen on day 37, and later that day embarrassingly died to a red slime in the mines. And of course I had to lose the most valuable thing in my inventory, the glass shards I still had to donate to the museum. I let Marlon retrieve my sword anyways in hopes of finding some broken glass in the future. To lift my spirits, I completed the ocean fish bundle, collected the beach totems, and reached level 8 fishing. On day 38, I collected every last tree in the valley, but it was still not enough to upgrade my barn, so I bought the wood I needed at Robin's and gave into the power she had over me right now. I finished my farming task on the morning of day 39 and caught my first rainbow trout before attending the luau on the beach. I sadly forgot to bring something poisonous to season the soup with, so I had to go with a silver star pike. The Stardew gods apparently were very happy about that since my cow produced some large milk for the first time the next morning, and my tree in the top path was already producing some pine tar, which I could both donate to the community center. Recovery for the forest was not an option though, so I cut down some trees and planted the saplings in my own farm. The traveling cart had a sandfish, which I bought, and ended my day with some living hat hunting in the mines. A rainy day 41 started collecting some fully grown melons that I replaced with some mixed seeds, and I also filled the upgraded barn with some hay. I went to the mines to collect some stone to make up for buying all the wood at Robin's. I donated an aquamarine to Emily's dye bundle, some oak resin to the enchanter's bundle, and also donated one of the melons I had collected earlier, ending my day leveling up farming and mining. I bought some more melon seeds at Pierre's the next day, took care of my tree farm, and since patience isn't one of my strengths, I spent some more money at Robin's for wood, so I could upgrade my coop. I realized I missed Alex's birthday, which I immediately forgot about when seeing an ancient seed at the traveling cart. And even though I didn't have any farming space that I could plant it in, I just couldn't leave it there. I also bought some honey and found a double pomegranate in my bat cave, which gave me level 7 foraging. Day 43 was mostly fishing and finding treasure, which I brought to Clint's to open up. I donated the missing rocks and gems to the museum as well. I went to the mines on day 44 to collect some more stone, and while I was at it I made sure to cut down all of the fiber, since I haven't given up on finding that stupid grass hat yet. I brought a farm warp totem to the ocean to fish there as long as possible and still make it home. Most of day 45 was spent in the mines, and since I didn't have lots left to do, I spent my evening in the saloon socializing and working on some friendship points with the villagers. Since my farm buildings were both upgraded now, I bought both a goat and a duck, which is definitely my favorite farm animal in the game. I also found a huge amount of fiddlehead fern in the secret forest and wondered if these stacked the same way regular forageables did, or if I was just lucky to find that many. I started the next day buying my last barn upgrade, which I of course couldn't without buying some wood first. I was really determined to collect as much wood as possible for my deluxe coop, so I spent my entire energy on cutting down trees on day 48. The next day, I had a few new crops to donate, and I could finish the summer crops bundle, earning myself a quality sprinkler. I also finished the exotic foraging bundle with some oak resin. I forgot how expensive pigs were and was just short of buying one, so I went to the traveling cart instead, and it had a red cabbage seed. Sadly, the summer days weren't going to be enough to grow it this season. In any other run, this would still be amazing, because there was still the option of planting it in the greenhouse. But since leveling my farming was taking so long, getting the quality crops to unlock the greenhouse was going to need a lot of luck. Speaking about farming, I did reach level 4 at the end of the day. I went to the mines to ignore my farming problems on day 50 and collected some stone. I donated some bones I found to the museum and crafted the ancient seed artifact I found into some plantable seeds. Reaching level 5 combat, I chose the fighter occupation. Most of the time my pick in the combat levels is completely random, so let me know what you usually go with. Day 51 I collected my first duck egg and probably donated it to the community center, but I sadly don't have the footage to prove it, because my recording cuts off at 7 AM. I did for sure donate some wheat to the fodder's bundle on day 52, went fiber hat hunting in the mines and gave Demetrius a melon for his quest. While I was there, I bought some wood and built my final farm building upgrade, the deluxe coop. The next day I bought an apple tree and some corn, and waited for Clint to leave his workspace so I could give him some copper he had requested. After his thorough inspection, I smelted most of it at home into copper bars. I bought a coconut on day 54, not realizing I had already completed the exotic foraging bundle, and thought about buying a rabbit at Marnie's, but since there was still a lot of time left for it to grow, I bought some hay instead. I went fishing in the town lake and stared at my Arch Nemesis bundle for some motivation before calling it a day. I collected some ocean forageables the next morning and tried catching the legendary fish on the ocean pier, but since fishing wasn't my focus up till now and I didn't have a specialty bobber, it was just way too strong for now. I went to the mines to catch a ghost fish instead and went back home to reach level 8 foraging and level 9 fishing. On the last day of summer, I moved the shipping bin away from the center of my farm because the sound of it opening every time I passed it was driving me crazy at this point. I caught some fish in town and waited for the beach to open up so I could attend everyone's favorite festival. I bought my favorite banner of the game to treat myself, and after a busy and productive summer, I de-stressed on the pier, watching the moonlight jellyfish dance in front of me. Fall started taking care of my basic farm needs and replanting my crops. I accepted a quest for the wizard and bought some fall seeds. I also donated a duck feather and got carried away with hardwood collection and fishing, so I fell asleep right on my own doorstep. I reluctantly paid my medical bills and agreed to helping Linus with some trash collection, so I went fishing in town to get started on that quest and ended my day fishing on my farm, since the chance of catching trash was way higher there. Day 59 started fishing more trash and I finally bought a pig for some truffles. I gave some Joja Cola to Sam that I found at the bottom of the lake. I decided to go back to Marnie's to buy a rabbit as well and put the trash into the bin near the train tracks to complete Linus's quest. Back at the farm, I lit up my space with some torches. A rare occasion of actually seeing the train passing the valley occurred on day 60, and I was rewarded with 4 whole pieces of wood. I bought some hay at Marnie's and finished the riverfish bundle by donating a tiger trout. I also finished the artisan bundle, donating a piece of cloth that I had processed from some soggy newspaper I had fished up during the quest earlier. I rearranged my farm, saving some space by placing some machinery inside the coop. Emily stood on my doorstep the next morning, giving me access to her sewing machine, and I found a Maki roll in the trash. Since I already donated one to the community center, I gave the trash sushi to my least favorite villager, not knowing it was Elliot's birthday and he actually liked my gift. I visited Shane at work to give him an egg and donated some large goat milk to the community center, finishing the animal bundle, which gave me a cheese press. I immediately put it to use at home and ended my day choosing the only valid farming perk. On day 62, I collected some corn and replaced some of the crops with other fall ones. I processed some geodes at Clint's and donated some of the gems to the museum. I sold the spare ones back to Clint and bought some more seeds at Pierre's to complete my shipping collection later. Back at the farm, I planted some of those seeds and went fishing for the legendary anglerfish on the small town bridge. Since the anglerfish is the easiest of the legendary, it wasn't too hard to catch. I also crafted another lightning rod to feel a little safer during thunderstorms on my farm. I helped Abigail the next day to beat the Prairie King level she was struggling with. Fun fact about me, I have actually never legitimately beaten Prairie King, because I'm horrible at this game. But I kinda want to try to tackle that challenge again soon, especially after beating this cutscene for the first time and helping Abigail beat her game. I ended day 63 first fishing in the ocean and later switching to the mountain lake. The next morning, Linus asked me to find his basket, opening blackberry season, so I collected some berries so I could bring him his basket along with a little gift. I completed the fall foraging bundle, accepted the cave patrol quest, which I got started with right away. Day 65 started with some cheese production and a small round of donations before slaughtering some dust sprites in the mines, completing the cave patrol quest for 6,000 gold. I tried hoeing some dirt in the mines since I was only missing one of the dwarf scrolls after finding the blue one the same day. I didn't find the yellow scroll, but got a strange bun from a monster drop instead, so I went back home reaching level 7 mining. I used that same strange bun to exchange it for my favorite statue in Vincent's toy bin, and went through Cindersap Forest to collect some blackberries from the ripe bushes. I ended my day fishing some ocean fish. I gave Jody a low-budget gift for her birthday, finally donated the glass shards I lost in summer, and went behind the blacksmith to sacrifice a sea cucumber for my second secret statue. I donated some wine to the wizard's bundle, and made sure to trade some mayo for my third statue. I brought the trio back home to my barn to give my cows some company that could watch over them, and went back to the town to fiber hunt and look for the missing dwarf squirrel in the mines, ending the day with level 6 combat. On day 68, I collected some new crops and got the recipe for some parsnip soup from Caroline. I gave Marnie some amaranth she requested, giving me access to her bedroom to collect Mayor Lewis's shorts. I bought some more amaranth seeds for my shipping collection and checked on my monster eradication goals, which I decided to work on after. The next day, I chopped down some trees in my farm and went fishing in the ocean before moving spots and fishing in the mountain lake again. I finished the chef's bundle on day 70 and donated a pumpkin to the fall crops bundle. I also wanted to finish the vault, but was just 500 gold short of buying the last bundle, so I had to go back to Pierre's to sell some goods and finish unlocking the vault, giving me a crystallarium. I stopped by the mines to continue my journey for the living hat and watched the Junimos fix the bus stop at night. Day 71 started with Jody asking me to fish her a largemouth bass, and taking my first bus ride to Calico Desert. I met Sandy and interrupted her birthday date with Emily, and stepped into Skull Caverns. And when I say stepped into, I mean collected a fire quartz on floor 1, getting scared, running back out again, and ending my day in the desert, going back home to the much safer normal mines to kill some dust sprites and other monsters. I put together a display for the Valley Fair the next morning, looking for my best quality items from different categories to guarantee first place. At the fair, I put together my display, which was definitely not my best, but should do the job. I played the fair games for some star tokens and put some of them on green at the Wheel of Fortune. I was so scared for a second that I wouldn't land on green, but I eventually did and bought myself a star drop from my earnings. I let the fortune teller give me a reading, and she told me how she saw me with Sam in a grass field, which was probably a result of all the trash coal I had given him. My display won first place with a rating of 107, and I bought a new hat and a rug from my prize money. Back at the farm, I crafted 2 more lightning rods and placed them close to the shipping bin. I donated a fossil to the museum and accepted my favorite quest from the quest board. I got started on helping Demetrius with overpopulation in the ocean, settling the fish along the way, since my inventory was pretty much full at this point. I also hooked a stonefish on floor 20 in the mines, finished the fall crops bundle with an eggplant, and when it got dark, I fished a walleye in the town river so I could complete the night fish bundle in the community center. This completed the fish tank, leading to the Junimos getting rid of the giant boulder near the mines. On day 74, I broke some geodes and reorganized my museum the only way I know: rainbow, man-made stuff, bones, and dolls. I worked on the biome balance quest and brought an anchovy to the wizard since he had requested one, additionally giving him some dark essence as a gift while I was there. The day ended with level 10 fishing, where I usually go with a 50% value fish, but since I didn't really need lots of money anymore, I decided to go with the pirate profession for once, hoping to get the remaining artifacts I still needed through chests. Gunter waited for me with a rusty key the next morning, thanking me for all my contributions to the museum by opening up the sewers. I went to the desert to give Skull Caverns another try, but quickly realized that I should have checked my luck for that day, since ladders were super hard to find and I didn't progress at all, so I left early and called it a day. I didn't want to repeat my same mistakes, so I checked the fortune teller and today was definitely not going to be a Skull Cavern run. I instead walked up to the mountains and got a tool from Willie I was never going to use again, and since luck didn't affect the fiber growth in the mines, I thought I could at least try for the living head again. I went through some of my uncrafted recipes and also worked on some of my Monster Slayer goals. Luck was on my side on day 77, so I went to the Skull Caverns to make a little more progress than 2 days ago. I was never the best at progressing in the mines, and working with only a steel pickaxe was surely not helping. But I still made it to floor 44, and told myself I would go down one last ladder since it was already 1 AM. Unfortunately, level 45 was a dinosaur level. If I had been a little faster, my chance of getting a dinosaur egg would have been a lot higher, but the few dinos I was able to slay in the time I had left sadly didn't drop an egg. My excitement for the dinosaur egg was hurt by the Stardew gods though, because the first treasure chest I hooked the next day had one. I couldn't believe I got so lucky and just stared at it in awe for a while, unaware that the next quest I accepted would fill that disappointment tenfold. Back at the farm, I immediately started incubating my dino egg and started on the rainbow jelly quest by resetting level 5 in the mines over and over again, checking for the disco slime. The next day of slime hunting ended empty-handed as well, so I went back to my farm sorting my chests and setting up to buy a workbench at the carpenter's shop. I usually never do this, but trying it for this run really made me fall in love with the simplicity of the workbench, and I will definitely use it more often in the future. My slime farming also gave me level 7 combat. Day 80 started buying some hay at Marnie's and again failing at finding the rainbow slime. I'm pretty sure I have never been as unlucky as I have been in this run. I even went to the Skull Caverns to try my luck there, not knowing if the rainbow slime even spawns there at all. And after finding a few useful resources, I teleported back home and sorted my findings into my chests. I bought the workbench for my setup on day 81 and also bought all of the recipes at Robin's for my crafting goals. I wasted some time on the rainbow slime quest before going home and testing out the crafting table, workbench. And as I already said, I really enjoyed the way it works. Maybe the Skull Cavern was going to give me what I needed for being so brave and so fearless, but let's just not talk about the disappointment that was day 82 and day 83. To avoid ending the season with complete disappointment, I first headed over to Marnie's to buy a rabbit to feel at least some form of accomplishment. I told myself I would check 2 floors in the mines, and on the 2nd floor I finally found a disco slime. I brought the prismatic jelly to the wizard and was so relieved that I could finally end this quest. I ended my month preparing my coop and barn for winter by giving my animals some heaters, and I also smelted some more ores. Winter starts with a new recipe, collecting some winter forageables and accepting Gunther's bone collection quest. I got started on slaying some skeletons, finished the winter forageables bundle, and with the last donation, I finished the crafts room, earning my 4th star and ending the 85th day repairing the bridge. Day 86 started planting some of the winter forage seeds, reorganizing my chests in my house, and then I went over to Clint to open those geodes I had left, donating the new gems to the museum. I worked on Gunther's quest and went to the beach for some fishing. During the run, I didn't really feel like the pirate's profession was worth it, but watching the recordings back, I do feel like I have been getting more treasure chests than usual. I learned a new recipe on day 87 and went back to the museum to donate a diamond I apparently hadn't donated yet. I also followed the footsteps in the snow to meet my dear Krobus and gained the ability to find the secret notes. After bringing my items back home, I went down to Cindersap Forest to catch the winter legendary, and after a quick but stressful battle, I finally caught it. On day 88, I donated a Nautilus shell to Demetrius' bundle, gave Leah a quest ruby, and hooked the ugliest of all the legendaries. I finally gave Jody her largemouth bass that was requested last month and put it on the floor for sanitary reasons. I also found 2 secret notes, one that wasn't of much use for now and another that gave me a beautiful golden statue. I tried to finish the skeleton quest the next day but sadly didn't make it, so I went hunting for artifact spots on day 90, forgetting that most of them in winter are cursed with forageables. They did give me level 9 foraging though. The next morning Pierre visited me and talked to me about his new stock next year. I brought an important flower delivery to the desert and worked on some friendships that are usually neglected by me. Day 91 started with the winter festival where I gave Penny's snowman some fashion advice and absolutely crushed my competitors in the fishing game. My first round of forageables was ready the next morning and I went to the Skull Caverns to try and reach level 100. Yeah, let's just say I didn't get that far. It did give me level 9 mining and level 8 combat though. I went to the Lost and Found box to collect my fair display from fall, which had definitely not expired until now, and went treasure hunting in the ocean. I barely made it home and woke up on day 94 to rinse and repeat, reaching 60% on my squid quest. On day 96, I could finally welcome my dinosaur into the world. I also got very close to finishing the overpopulation quest. I apparently got so excited for my favorite festival, the night market, that I forgot to record footage from the 2 days prior, but isn't the way the market looks just so calming and beautiful? And since fishing is my favorite skill in the game, I just love sitting between the boats and waiting for the submarine to open. On the first evening of the night market, I got myself a pearl after watching the thrilling mermaid show. The second evening was spent mostly in the submarine, aka my favorite place of the entire game. I tried to get a second pearl on the last evening and sat through the entire show again, only to find out that you only get 1 pearl per festival. So I went to the community center to donate some apples instead. I caught a sandfish in the desert, trying for a scorpion carp on day 102, trying again on day 103, but staying empty-handed. I also walked in on a discussion between Demetrius and Robin, of course siding with my girl Robin, because we may be smart enough to know what tomatoes are, but we are not dumb enough to start a fight about it. I also checked if there was space on my farm for a fish pond, but there wasn't, unless I'd get rid of one of my buildings, and I wasn't going to sacrifice any of my animals for some fish. Day 104 was spent collecting some gifts to work on that last stretch of friendship points, and I checked what artifacts I was still missing. I caught the missing ice pip on day 105, barely missing the treasure chest that came with it, which surprisingly took way longer than the much harder lava eel I caught after that on floor 100. Traumatized by the disco slime quest, I still accepted another quest from the wizard, and it went a lot better this time. So I quickly brought him the ectoplasma I found from the first ghost I slayed. The next day, I caught a periwinkle, which was the only crab pot item I still hadn't caught yet, and with a treasure bobber in my pocket, I tried to catch some missing artifacts in the mountain lake. I did the same thing on day 108, switching it up with the bubble spot in the ocean. Day 109 was Secret Santa Day, so I talked to all of the villagers before giving the easiest lovable gift to my favorite child. That doesn't sound right. I received a very thoughtful gift from Willie, considering I had fished in front of his house the entire day before. On day 110, I waited in front of Marnie's house, waiting to give her a quest gift, and was embarrassingly caught dancing by Jazz. I gave the cave carrot to Marnie, and why are we putting everything on the floor? I picked up my golden axe that Clint had finished upgrading for me, and left my pig with him to upgrade as well. I also went fishing in the lava lake on floor 100 in hope of finding note 17, since secret notes have an 8% chance of replacing trash while fishing. Note 17 would give me access to one of the dolls I was still missing for the museum, but I sadly didn't get it. The last 2 days were spent fishing for artifacts and secret notes, again using up all of the bubble spots I could get. And while I did get a few artifacts, I sadly didn't get any of the ones I still needed. I really could stop the video here. I mean, I finished year 1, but with only 2 bundles left, I just couldn't do that. So here is a speed through of finishing this challenge. I bought some quality fertilizer and parsnip seeds on the first day of the new year, prepared my farming space by hoeing some tiles, watering them, and placing the fertilizer and seeds I had just bought. Watering the parsnips and taking care of my animals every other day, I waited for them to grow and check how many gold parsnips I had. I got really lucky on my first harvest, getting 7 gold quality crops eligible for donation, which meant speed sleeping until summer for my next crops. My slumber got interrupted by a strange capsule, which I quickly picked up to make sure I didn't release any aliens on my farm. Reaching summer, I grabbed some seeds from my chest, realizing that I had some quality fertilizer stored as well, so I prepped my farming space and planted some melons. Having 1 farming spot left, I went to Pierre's to buy some corn seeds, since I needed a 3rd quality crop anyways. I got blessed with the crop fairy a few days later, fully growing half of my melons. Since they only gave me 2 gold quality ones, I bought a few more seeds at Pierre's to ensure 5 quality melons by the end of the season. A few rainy days sped up my sleep cycle before receiving all the quality melons I still needed from my second harvest, so I planted some corn in the empty tiles. I still kept my leftover melons until they were fully grown though, since my farmer heart refused to destroy the crops early for some corn. I made sure my farm animals were taken care of and well fed during the process, and since Pierre's isn't open on Wednesdays, I slept till the next day to buy some more corn seeds. I got lucky with a few more rainy days and even got the owl statue event before picking the last quality crops I needed. And with the last 16 crops in my pockets, I did my last community center donation run ever, donating the red cabbage first, earning myself a seed maker, and finishing the community center with 15 divine quality crops. I said goodbye to the Junimos and went to bed for the last night on my tiny farm. I made sure to check out the newly built greenhouse before I left, which was, well, underwhelming. And after 1.5 years frustration and dedication, I finally finished the community center. I encouraged Pierre to settle his battle with Morris the old-fashioned way, and the old-fashioned way he did. And after inspecting the glory of my work for a while, I brought my completion statue home, where I reorganized my bedroom and placed the statue in it to make sure I could look at it every morning after waking up. I have worked on this video for a few weeks now, and I'm grateful for every person who has subscribed during the past month. If you've enjoyed my first years on this channel, and even if this is the first video you clicked on, please consider subscribing as well, and I'll see you very, very soon.